One second.
Take your time, man. You good, man. And hey, y'all hit that like button for Freeway, man. Hit that notification bell. Rock out with the we got the real Freeway, Rick Ross in the building. The authentic real deal. So what y'all could do, man. This was supposed to be pre-recorded. This like a little gift to the supporters. Mr. Freeway, I hit 100,000 subscribers today, so I wanted to just share it with the supporters to watch this interview today with you, because it's a lot that we want to know. So we're all honestly honored right now that you're being a guest on the platform.
Glad to be here.
Thank you, sir. And so salute to your manager as well. Very professional. So I wanted to give her kudos as well. Now, you're an American author. You're a man of many things. You've done a lot over your years, but a lot of things people don't ask you for. I kind of want to know the earlier version of Freeway Rick Ross, like your parents, Sonny Ross and Annie Mae Ross. Can you tell me something about the progenitors of your life themselves?
Well, I didn't really know my father growing up, but I did find out a lot of things about him later on in life. When I got to know him, they done an article on me in LA Magazine, and they went out, and I mean LA Times, and they went out and they interviewed my dad. And when they did that interview, I found out that he was a bootlegger before.
Oh wow!
That he also raised hogs and cows. He really was an entrepreneur. To be honest with you, once I found out about him, I think we kind of traveled some of the same paths. By him being a bootlegger, that he was going against the system when he was a bootlegger, and almost the same thing I did when I sold drugs. So even though I don't know much about him, we did have a lot in common in some senses about money. So maybe chasing money is in my blood, and my mom too. My mom, she, in my early age, I can remember her doing, janitorial work. She used to do gardening work. I remember she used to work with lawyers where she would chase accidents, where she would go out and give her card out to people in the accident, for the lawyer to represent them. So, and they both kind of had the entrepreneurial skill. I guess you get that, I guess, when you grow up poor, My mom, she picked cotton when she was a little girl, and she used to tell me stories about, instead of going to school, that her dad would take them to Chillicothe, I think is the name of it, where they would pick cotton. So, mom was a Christian. My dad was a Christian as well. Both of them really loved church. They loved God. They had a different type of respect for authority than I did. I never really cared for authority.
Right.
My mom and my dad, had a lot of respect. When I don't know, I guess when you're from the South, when they address white people, they used to always say yes sir and yes ma'am, even if the people were younger than them, which I didn't really understand. Right. I thought it should have been the other way around. But that's kind of how they grew up.
Right. I find it kind of like intriguing that your dad was a bootlegger, and being that I studied that a lot, and then if you look at the path that you took, Mr. Ross, it's like, is that something like a full circle?
It kind of is, when I read the article that they wrote in LA Times, it really shocked me, because I had never really talked to my dad, because of the distance. Him and my mom broke up when I was 4 years old, so right. I was with my mom, so I kind of took her side of the matter. She didn't like him, I didn't like him, and whoever my mom didn't like, I didn't like him either. So
Pitbull.
That was kind of how I was brought up.
I mean, your mom. I've noticed you just said at the age of 4 you've been around your mom, because at that age your mom talked about how very smart you was. She said like this man moved very quick among the kids that were your age because you tried to drive a car at 4 years old. Can you tell me something about that?
Yeah, my mom left the car running one day, and she got out uh, to talk to one of her friends, and I don't know. I guess I was young. I was only about 3 years old, maybe 4, and I had paid enough attention to her to learn how to take the car out of gear, and that's what I did.
I mean, like, that tells me a lot. When I see a kid spontaneous like that, you had a quick ingenuity about you. And I think some of those attributes probably help your way because your mom, we're going to still stay on your mom. Now, your mom, she had to deal with a lot. Coming up where you came from, the neighborhoods, the background, your mother, brother George, you care to speak about that? Or that should be off limits right now?
I mean, we can talk a little bit about, my Uncle George. When we moved from Texas, we moved in with, first we moved in with my auntie, Larita. We stayed with them for a while. I don't know how long. When you're a kid, a week seems like months and years. So I don't know how long we actually stayed with them. But when we moved from them, we moved in with my uncle, George, and my auntie, Bobby Joe, who and these were people that I didn't even know, prior to me coming to California. I had no clue that I had family in California. I didn't even know what California was, nor did I care. When you're young, you think that your environment is the whole world.
Right.
You don't think it's no bigger than right there where you at. And that's pretty much where I was with that. But like I said, we moved in with my Uncle George and my auntie, Bobby Joe. And that's where the incident happened at.
Can you go a little bit deep on that incident, if you could share a light on it to those who don't know that incident about dealing with your mom, brother George, and you were 5 years old at that time?
Was I 5? I'm not sure if I was 5 or not. I was young. I'm not sure the exact age. Right around that age, though. I think I just started going to kindergarten. Right. But anyway, me and my mom come in one night, and my uncle was stabbing his wife, my auntie, and my mom had no hesitation. She jumped right in, even though he had a knife and he was waging a knife, and he was stabbing her. She was able to get him off of Bobby Joe, and she was able to start to give first aid to her, wrap her wounds up and so forth. During that time, she was always also able to get us out the house, and was trying to get us to a safe location.
That incident you seen with your mom, brother George, I know he passed away during.
You must have read the book.
Yeah, I have to do my homework, man. I got a profound respect for brothers who give me a hope in life, so I got to do my homework. And honestly, my wife would tell you it's something I dreamed about doing this particular interview right here. All the things I've did, this is the one I waited for, because we got told a lot about you. Even in elementary, we had teachers discussing your story. I mean, from different perspectives and narratives, but yeah, I mean, you have a story that it provides inspiration to those who are trapped in that box. You like, look at what you did at 4 years old. Like, you knew you had that way, the way you thought, the way you think. And I'm just more doing this interview if it can help others I'm not saying necessarily do exactly what you did, but I mean, use your God-given skills and attributes, to get yourself out of a hole. That's what I look at your life story as. You found a way.
Well, the way I look at myself, I'm the kind of person that I'm going to take action. I'm going to make some moves. I'm going to do certain things that is necessary to get me into a certain position.
Witnessing someone dying in front of your eyes at that young age, did it reshape what you thought the world of during that time, or was it just every other day situation. What was your thought process being young Freeway Rick Ross at that time?
Well, I didn't really know what killing somebody or dying. I didn't really know what all that meant. You know, it was kind of like, I don't know. I guess I was in another space, you know, as a kid. You know, I come from a small town in Texas. You know, nobody ever got killed down there.
Right.
You know, now here I was with my uncle laying on the floor, and he's gasping for air, and I could hear him breathing really hard, but I didn't really understand what was going on. You know, I didn't understand that he was dying.
Right.
And shortly after, I was taken out the house, you know, and taken to a safe place. And it was only later that I realized that I would never see my Uncle George again.
Did that traumatize you? Anything like that? Or it just got you well prepared to be out here?
Well, you know, it was funny. It was only later in life that I really understood kind of that you know, seeing somebody get killed is traumatizing because we ran across another situation where somebody had been chopped up in the park, and we all saw the body floating in the swimming pool, and it made me go back to my Uncle George laying on the floor gasping for air. So I guess it did kind of traumatize you, but you know, when you're living in the ghetto, you know, we don't have anybody to teach us about being traumatized or any of those things. You know, we just take it and deal with it.
It's just every day it becomes, right? It becomes the norm. And speaking of becoming the norm, you just explained things becoming the norm. You had middle class America, and then you had the hoods of our type of hoods or whatever. But I keep hearing about how legendary you were playing tennis. I didn't even know if I wanted to ask you that question because almost everybody do. But where I come from, I've seen guys with your similar stories, but it's still an anomaly to see a brother like you, and you didn't only play it, you excelled at it. So I just want to that mindset during that time frame. What made you even ventured off to not only play tennis, but a lot of people were speaking like if you could have went pro. That's why I'm fascinated. Like, how is that not the focus of your story? Can you go more deep in that and during that and get us into the time space of that time, like what it was like?
Well, you know, when I was coming up, I started to understand the necessity of money in this society. You know, we'd have times in the house where there was no food. We had windows that was broken out. Our kitchen needed new cabinets. You know, we had holes in the floor. The back door didn't have a lock on it. So I started to understand at an early age that money fixed all of those things. And I wanted those things fixed. And I started to look for a way to generate some money. You know, I tried playing football, basketball. You know, I thought that those may be, you know, my way out at one time. But I quickly found out that I was too little, and the coaches didn't pay attention to me.
I mean, after finding you was little and they didn't pay attention to you, what after that? I'm pretty sure you wanted to try something else. But what made you pick tennis? Because I don't see brothers every day saying they want to be a tennis star or just to even play for fun. I rarely even see that.
Well, tennis kind of fell on me. You know, I didn't really pick tennis. We were in the park one day roller skating, and this guy, Richard Williams, came up to the park, and he had, you know, baskets of balls and lots of rackets, and you know, he made us a challenge that we couldn't hit the ball in the box, and he promised that if we did, he would give us a quarter. And at that time, a quarter was a lot of money. So we all kicked our skates off, and we went to the tennis court, and we started trying to hit the ball in that box.
Did your time playing tennis network with you with other people, or did it at least teach you how to get around the world, the different part of the world, meaning around white people, around the different ethnicity of people? Did that open the doors for you, or were you already introduced to that type of life?
Well, no. In South Central, we didn't. We had one white person that we knew that stayed in the neighborhood, who we could consider a friend. Her name was Bessie. She owned the hamburger stand on the corner, which she was super cool. But I'd never been around white people before that. I had no white friends. But tennis definitely gave me an exposure that my brothers and sisters and a lot of the guys who grew up in my area did not get. And tennis has been wonderful for me. I'm teaching my babies how to play right now. I tried to teach all my kids how to play because I think that the strategies for tennis is remarkable.
As far as strategies being remarkable, I've seen and I've read your work, and I take my time to read. A lot of me and my brothers, when we dropped out of school, it's not because we couldn't do the work or anything like that. I think we're just bored. We kind of grew too fast. But in your case, you dropped out of high school your senior year. I know later at 28 years old, you were deemed and said you were illiterate. I'll get to that later, but what was the situation with you dropping out of school before your senior year? You already accomplished 3 years. You know what I mean? So why not finish the last one?
Well, I really hadn't participated in school at all. I was only at school to play tennis. So I only did just whatever it took for me to continue to stay eligible for the tennis team. So that's about all I was in school for. I didn't care about none of the work. I didn't care about what the teacher was talking about. Only thing I wanted to do was to get on the tennis court and practice.
So you were determined. Did later in life playing tennis, that same focus that you used towards tennis, you used it towards your other street life? And I don't mean street life as street life, but in the drug business, because now when you're looking at it, they once said at your peak you were worth more than $600 million to $1 billion. I mean, that's not an everyday. You don't hear about that every day. All the glorious movies they came out with the top honchos, that number is astounding. Like, what was it like during that peak period of Freeway Rick Ross making that much money? I mean, you're literally printing cash at that point.
I mean, money is good. It gives you the freedom to do pretty much whatever it is that you want to do. But it's not everything. But it's right up there with oxygen. So it was good to have money. Your family members come by, they need help. They get evicted, the car got repoed, or in jail, they bail, they need a lawyer. It's great to be in a position to where you can take care of all of those matters.
Right. Now, I followed down your books and I followed down the history of you. And there was one particular man named that even when I was younger, I remembered his name, and that was Gary Webb. Now, there was a series of articles published by San Jose Mercury that he was working with. And I know the connection between, he released basically the connection between your main cocaine source and the CIA as part of the Nickel Warren Contras, the scandals that basically funded the rebels. Can you go a little bit deep on Gary Webb, like as far as how you personally felt about him or his situation?
Oh, I like Gary. Gary was the kind of person that would sacrifice himself and his reputation for his work and for the people. Gary felt that this story had to be told because he felt that the people needed to know what had took place. But I really like Gary. Gary was he was just a cool brother, the kind of person that you could just kick it with every day, down to earth. And I didn't know that he was a writer, that he wrote as good as he wrote. I never knew that he was a Plaza Prize winner, that he did some of the things that he had accomplished. He's the one that made the government change the forfeiture laws. You know, one time, if you got arrested, I mean, no, not if you got arrested, but if the police pull you over and you had a joint in your car, they could literally take your car without you
Wow.
going to court, without you being found guilty, without them proving that it was marijuana. Just on the fact that the cops say you had marijuana in the car, they could forfeit your car. Well, Gary Webb brought that to a halt, and I'm thankful that he did.
I mean, what? How did you get introduced to Gary? Did he seek you, or did you seek him? Like, how did you guys meet with each other?
Gary found me. Gary was following Danilo Blandon, and doing his search for Danilo Blandon, he came across me.
Now, unfortunately, I ran across an audio of you, and it was a shocking when you got the news in 2004, the alleged suicide of Gary Webb. And I say alleged because there's controversy surrounding that. They said it was two inflicted gunshot wounds to his head, and I don't know. Me being a military vet, I don't know how your nerves is strong enough after the first inflicted wound to, do another one. So, in the 2004 death of Gary Webb, what was that like during that time when he died, and what you personally feel about his death and the suspicions around his death?
Well, for me, I was very disappointed. I had hoped that one day that I could have helped Gary pursue his research and trying to figure out how far this went into the White House and who knew and who didn't know. So I was a little disappointed when he got killed, and it also was kind of scary too. I thought that if somebody could have killed Gary, and then with me being inside a jail where they had total access to me, that the same thing could happen to me.
And did that cause you a little bit concerned to see a man of I'm gonna just say Gary being a white guy and well backed by many people, professional at that, and he loses his life while getting close to a scandalous situation? Do you feel the same future was headed for you?
I mean, you have those thoughts, that it's possible. You figuring that, the United States government is also powerful, and that they can do anything they want to do, pretty much.
I see that they can do everything they want to do because the media, which I'll get to later, it played a good part in as far as not people not paying attention to the underlying things that was going on during the Contras or whatnot. Now, when you were released, you said jail you brought up for a little bit, or prison. When you were released in 2009, you said something that I want to ask you now that we have you here. You said it's like you were born to drug deal. It's like
no, I said that before I went to prison.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misquoted that. You said, I misspoken in a way, but I still want to know, what was your mindset like? Is it an energy about yourself? You could have seen what you were going to become. Like, why did you highlight and say that or quote it?
Well, when you're doing something and you feel that it's the best thing that ever happened to you, I was under the mindset because I was brought up by Christian people. I was under the interpretation that anything that good happened to you was sent to you by God. And I felt that God had gave me the ability to sell cocaine.
I mean, you're the first one to admit that. I'm not gonna lie. You're gonna see brand new rappers out here probably taking that quote from you, because a lot of people, you don't hear that. Like, whether you think they're doing good or bad, you're literally somebody who felt it was within you and the Most High to give you the strength to do it. And that's a different perspective. I just wanted to ask you that. It was a side note too. Now, after saying that it was your job or whatever you seen, that mindset you had, was it a mindset that every boss needs as far as the ability to see and project the future or to see things ahead of its time? Because you seem to have the mind of a CEO that's in Wall Street or something like that. With the way
Can I get a 5-minute break?
Take a break, man. Let me talk to the people. Y'all hit that like button, man. This is a raw and uncut interview. Freeway, Rick Ross in the house. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button. And based on how many likes and whatever we get, I'll determine if I should leave this interview up or not. Because I'm definitely going to edit it up and do it the right way. You guys get to see an uncut version. It's a good amount of people in here. Salute to y'all.
I'm wrapping up this interview right
No live beats. Salute to you. Say truth can come from sin. Amen. Michael Anthony, salute to you. Y'all go ahead and hit the like button for Freeway. Oh, you could have taken longer if you wanted to, Freeway.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I just had to take that phone call real fast.
All right, no problem, brother. Now, let me go to my next line of questioning. And I hope these questions are not going too deep. I see how open you are.
They're not.
Thank you. Now, what took you to achieve that level? You said you took it as a source from God giving you that type of ability. So, how did you get this mindset? And is it the same mindset that you applied all your life to anything that you touched?
Well, I did start to apply that once I stopped playing tennis, and I understood the mistake that I made when I played tennis, that I quit too early, and that I didn't see my dream through. And then I started to apply that to everything that I did after that. I said that I will never quit because of what other people say. I'll quit because I feel that I should quit.
That quitter's mentality. When you were in this drug business, your so-called customers or whatever, you never quit on life. How did you look at these people you were dealing to or dealing with? Did you ever look down on them, or was it just a job for you?
Well, when I first started selling cocaine, cocaine wasn't considered a bad thing.
Right.
People looked at the people who got high as the in crowd. So it took a while before I started to realize that if you use cocaine, that you were really hurting yourself.
I mean, I don't try to look at people and blame people for people's downfall or whatnot. So we're not gonna do that on this interview. It's just more of people a lot are fascinated by your ability to do it and do it at the amount of time that you did it in. So being that you were on the radars of many people, that now a source from the White House, they spoke about Ronald Reagan, Oliver North, George Bush Sr., basically about how they helped brought drugs into the country. I have more questions on that, but just for that little one right now, how did you feel as far as the way the images are sometimes portrayed about you? Although a lot of people, we look at you as an inspiration to a certain extent, but then sometimes they try to portray you in a certain image, yet these men I just named, all heavy names. How do you feel the media's image portrayal of you, but these guys' hands were caught in the cookie jar?
I don't really care what the media say about me. They don't dictate to me who I am. They don't pay my bills, so I don't really worry about what they say. And all media is good media. If somebody slander you, if you can take that and use it to your benefit, which you should be able to, then it's all good. So whatever they say, it doesn't really matter to me.
I like this interview. You're straightforward.
I'm on my way to be one of the richest people in this country, or maybe even the world, and they're going to have to deal with that I don't have a high school diploma, that I'm uneducated, that I don't know how to read until I was 28 years old, and now I'm about to be one of the richest people in and maybe in the whole world.
Man, I like this interview. You're straightforward, and you said all media is good media, so clearly your business mind is working right now, even during this interview. Now, veterans were coming home, man, like during the time of its peak when you were out here doing what you were doing. Veterans were coming home at the time and seeing this phenomenon. 14-year-olds driving these luxury cars, 15-year-olds driving it, all type of stuff. That mindset, like, can you let me feel? Because it's me deeply, honestly wanted to know, what was it looking like? Like, how was the lifestyle like? What was everybody reacting to this new type of situation in the neighborhoods where everybody was becoming rich?
We had new rock stars. We had guys now, and we used to call cocaine rock, so we call them rock stars. So we had new rock stars, guys who were living, as big as basketball players and football players, and for the most part probably had more liquid cash than either one of them. So it was just a wonderful time. It was plenty of money on the street. Everybody was winning. So we thought, You know,
Chime in on that. Why you say so? We thought.
well, you know, the people who decided to sell, they won because you know they were able to do things for themselves and for for their families that they were never able to do again. But then on the other hand, the people who were smoking, their families suffered. And you know, once we looked at it from both angles, then you could see that it really wasn't what we thought it was.
So the good and the bad and the ugly. I mean,
Yeah.
like this lifestyle. Do you feel the ones who decided to use it? Did they have the? I mean, I know people say when you smoke this thing, it takes control of you. How very real is that statement? And what did you see to help me understand how it actually does take over people or it doesn't? Like, what did you see? Like the neighborhood stars or the neighborhood beauty queen. What was the transition? What did you see?
Well, you know, literally, it was mind over matter. Really, I mean, I saw people quit, you know, and then I saw people who even to this day still get high. You know, I got an uncle that is 80 something years old, 85 years old, I think almost, and he still gets high. And he told me that he doesn't have a reason not to get high. You know, that he doesn't see anything wrong with him getting high. So it was just different perceptions of what you thought and what you wanted out of life. You know, if you were somebody who wanted nice houses, nice cars, and clothes, then you didn't want to be a user.
Right.
And if you became a user, then you know that all of the things that you wanted, you were willing to give up in order to get high.
How they look down on people who are addicted to certain things today. Back then, were people boxing you out of society if you were a known user of crack, or was it like cocaine? You know how you say the in crowd use cocaine. Were at the earliest stage of this, was it only the in crowd thing, or accessible to everybody and everybody thing?
Well, from the beginning, it was only the in crowd. You know, those were the only people that used. The other people didn't, and eventually, it just started to seep down. You know, like I said, when I first started selling, the only people that could afford it was like pimps, the people who sold PCP, people who basically had a lot of money.
Right.
You know, the people who were on welfare, they really couldn't. Because at that time, you know, if you'd have told somebody, you know, it was going to cost them $50, $100 for a tenth of cocaine, they wouldn't have paid it.
Right. So,
but after it became so popular and everybody was talking about it, then it caught their attention, and they were willing to sacrifice, you know, $100 to get a piece of the in crowd.
Okay.
Pretty much.
So far, this interview is more fascinating than I thought. So let me just skip a couple of questions and go right into it. The empire, Mr. Freeway, the empire. How did it all start? I mean, we know what we're here for, and that's one of the caveat of this interview. How did the empire start? Can you take us there? The things you can talk about.
My empire really started from when I was a kid. You know, I used to organize car washes, and I would go to my neighbors and get their bottles. You know, when we used to have, when you used to have soda bottles, they used to have a $5 deposit. Well, you know, when I was young, I used to go around to my neighbors, and I would get all their bottles and take them to the store and come back and split the money with them. So I learned entrepreneurship from a very early age, and I kept practicing it throughout my life. Even with my time in tennis, was still an entrepreneur move, because I played tennis strictly for one reason, and that was to make money. Not because I had a love for the game or nothing. I mean, the love came later on, but from the beginning, it started about, oh, this is a way that you can make some money. And with you having a limited educational background, you need something that you can fall back on.
Right. Now, the empire, you said it started since an early age, but when it started booming, when did business get out of hand in a good way as far as money, everything like that to that aspect?
Well, you know, I started in the cocaine game with $125. My partner had $125. So
you serious?
We took that, and you know, we had days that we made as much as $3 million. So we did some pretty remarkable stuff.
who are some of these people, without saying names, that were like clients that took you in awe that you actually were selling to, or you know what I mean, like situations like that, without, you know what I'm saying?
I can't remember back that far.
Right.
I mean, all this stuff is kind of sketchy, and you know, I live in the future. I don't really live in the past. So the things that you're asking me right now is, you know, if it wasn't for writing a book,
Right.
I wouldn't remember none of this stuff, because right now my future is so bright. And it's like this great big bright light that's just shining in my face, and all I can see is
The future.
into this light. You know, I can't really see into the past too well, even though I have some vague memories of what happened in the past. These future endeavors are just so overwhelming and so pulling. You know, where they pull you to them. That I can't remember. I can't even remember all the people I met today. Man, I can't even remember everything that happened today. You know, my life is like a whirlwind. You know, I wake up at 6 in the morning most mornings, and you know, I'm on the phone talking to boxers in Philadelphia and Wisconsin and Texas, and you know, and then I'm talking to people who do refrigerator panels for marijuana grows, and light people, and you know, it's like, wow, marijuana stores, dispensaries.
Right. Oh, I'm about to ask you some questions about that as well. That's what the one I really wanted to ask towards the end, because you haven't stopped being an entrepreneur, and that's one thing I loved about this interview that I'm gonna ask you in a little bit. But before I get to that part, as far as you expanding the franchise, what are some of the places, if you could talk about, that the franchise reach besides Los Angeles, other states, things like that, etc.?
Well, you know, cocaine has legs in a sense. You know, you could sell a key of cocaine here, and ounces from that key might wind up in Alabama, New York, Chicago. I mean, it has a way of cocaine had a way of getting around, and people carried it. So it was, you know, I had about 6 or 7 states that I personally went in and worked, but the magnitude of how far the reach went, only God knows. I don't.
Right. As far as these places, were you well accepted into these other communities, or did you face any backlash or get backs, being that you're a plant from somewhere else?
Most of the time when I went to other places, they didn't know who I was, but I was always accepted. I know how to be accepted. There's a technique to being accepted. You know, there's an art to one of my teachers called it winning friends and influencing people.
You think people like that type of art today? Most people, as far as in the entertainment business and in the typical everyday civilian life?
I think it's a lost art. I don't think that people really understand how to use it, nor do they work with it.
What are some of the benefits, if you can talk to some of the young ones out there, what are the benefits of using what you just said, the art of speaking to people? I guess, quote unquote, networking, but it's even more deeper than network, because not many men can have your reign that you help doing this.
Well, you know, if you have rich friends, then you'll never need anything, because a real friend will never see a friend do bad. I said a real friend, though, not the people who as one guy said, I was listening to him the other day on social media, and he said that people be blowing smoke up your ass while you're doing good, but as soon as you hit the ground, they know where around. And I believe that a real friend, a true friend, is going to be there when it's bad, and when you're doing good, they'll let you have fun by yourself.
Man, hey, y'all hear that, right? He's not only a author, but my man's a philosopher too. You actually took me with the last one you state, because I got a son and he's a knucklehead, so I can't wait to replay this video back for him. And maybe if he gets older, he'll get the words "Daddy talk" to Rick Ross. So I'm honored, and being that I'm honored, you have another boss status in you. And the one thing I've noticed about men like you, I don't care if it's through Wall Street or any successful men like you have a drive, and that drive continues to go. You wanted to rule and run LA. You once quoted and said that you wanted to own it. Like, what is that feeling? Where did that come from? And why did you want to rule and run LA?
Well, every man wants to be, I think, number one. A lot of that comes from tennis, too. In tennis, you want to be the best tennis player in the world.
Right.
You want to be number one. You want to be number one in your age group. You want to be number one at your school. You want to be number one at your college. So you get that idea is that you should be the best.
Now, being the best, we know to be the best. I hate to say it, like, we all can't be Jordan. Sometimes teamwork make the dream work. How did you go about recruiting your workers, men that you can trust, people that you can establish this connection with? Because that's a dangerous game in the game that you were playing.
Well, trust is something that has to be earned. Opportunity is something that you offer to lots of people, and that's what I did. I gave a lot of people opportunities. I got burned a lot. I got burn marks all over my body. So
go deep into that.
Well, my man says that no good deed go unpunished. Meaning that if you help somebody, they probably gonna kick you right in the ass as soon as they get a chance. So knowing that you can't go into a shell and stop helping other people, because you only need a couple people to turn out right, and they'll make you a fortune.
So in a sense, you recruited people, but you didn't really know if they were going to burn you or not, but you just took gambles in the people you brought in.
Absolutely. And you try to find people like yourself, people who you would think would be understanding, people who would be dedicated, people who would think about what they're doing and try to make the best out of it.
What's dedication to you, Mr. Freeway? I want from your perspective, forget about Webster Dictionary, the Oxford Dictionary. What's your perspective in your field and what you did you can define as dedication?
Well, I'm going to tell you dedication today.
Okay, go ahead.
Dedication today is to be able to spend $3,000 or $4,000 every day, but only spend 20 or 30. To be able to eat any kind of food you want to, but you only eat once a day, because that's what you want. That's your sacrifice. That's what you're dedicating to accomplishing your goals.
Did Mr. Freeway, Rick Ross, mean any likewise people who thought like yourself? Those are profound words, by the way.
Oh yeah, I met a lot of them. A lot of times there were guys that was much younger, and who were more impressionable. But I still meet them today. Every now and then, you run across one. Matter of fact, I had a meeting with one this Saturday. This Saturday, I had a great meeting with a guy. Matter of fact, he paid for the meeting. He paid $600 to meet with me. The meeting was supposed to last for 30 minutes. It only lasted for 15. And I was very, very impressed with this young man. And I'm really, really excited to be working with him. And I think that he's going to take my companies and definitely lift them a few feet off the ground, if not more.
Wow. So you much like people who have a strong work ethic and they're about their business, no little time to waste kind of type of guys.
I mean, yeah, work ethic is so important. Without a work ethic, you can't accomplish much.
Let me live. I want you to get off to tell the people, because they see the things you've did in the past, and I know you don't want to look in the past. I'm really not. This focus on your work habit. Talk to these people because they think it was easy what you did. I think they look at what you do, because you've seen a lot of young generation that they are mimicking what great men like you did. You know what I mean? So how can you explain to them like this was not just something you just said you're gonna do it and it just came without the work?
Oh, no, no, no. This took a lot of, like I said earlier, dedication and sacrifice. In order to come up from $125 and to make $3 million a day, you had to take that money and roll it over and over again. That means that every time you took that 125 and you spent it, if you only made back 175, you couldn't take that extra 50 and go and blow it on a pair of shoes. No, you took it and you put it right back into the cocaine game.
Invest.
And I did that on a consistent basis. So that's kind of it. You know, we got about 5 more minutes and I got to get out of here.
It's cool, Rick. Well, hold on. One more thing. Shout out to your manager. She talked to me behind the scenes, and I got a couple of more. Well, I don't want to say that in the screen. Salute to her. Now, the contras. I didn't want to get deep into that, being that you answered that a lot. Your workers, as far as the type of men you got to be workers for you, I'm pretty sure it's not just typical blue collars. So, as far as we know, during that time, the Crips and the Bloods was magnifying during that time. So I just wanted to ask a question. What was the majority? Were there picking sides, or were there certain groups working for you there, or you were favoring?
Well, you know, I grew up in the Hoover Hood, Hoover Crips. So those were probably more my allies than anybody else because I knew more of them. You know, I stayed in their neighborhood. I went to a Hoover Crip elementary school. I also went to a Hoover Crip junior high school. I transferred when I was in high school because I was playing tennis and I got pretty good. So I went to the best tennis high school in the city of Los Angeles, and that happened to be a blood school. So I never really chose sides, even though you know the Hoover Crips claim me as one of them. But I've also had some blood gangs claim me as well. So I never had to choose sides. And you know, I went to school with both of them. You know, at one time when we was in elementary school, guys who went there that was nothing at one time became Bloods, and guys that was there that was nothing turning to Crips. So I couldn't see myself fighting somebody that I was cool with at one time, and just because they had maybe moved to a different side of town, or because their side of town was Bloods or Crips, you know, and it didn't make sense to me fighting over a street that you didn't own or you had no ties to really, other than that you stand out on the corner.
Okay, 2 more questions because your time is important. I wanted to ask about your weed business too, but I had to speed up. I'm gonna save that quickly for last.
We can do. Look, we can do this interview again.
No, man, you're number one. Let me get this out the way. I'm the one who's honored you, blessed this platform. It was a better day to celebrate 100,000 with the real Rick Ross. I had a lot of questions, but at the same time, I know not to waste the time. So let me get this one out the way, and we can save another part because a lot of people, and it's not me, it's the chat room asking this one because I had 2 I wanted to ask. Chat room want to know with recipes of John Singleton. Now I want to know from the man himself because
rest in peace, John Singleton.
Wait, you can speak freely about that too. I was trying to be respectful towards you, and but I don't know what that's. I want you to share your life on that.
I don't have no respect for him.
Okay, go ahead, take away. I think you know what I was about to ask you about the new show Snowfall, and I feel some type of way when I see the life story of yours being portrayed towards everybody, and you would like to think that the men is being portrayed about are being well compensated. How do you feel about Snowfall? Can you tell us a little bit?
I don't have no feelings about Snowfall. I think it's some bullshit that they would, even if John didn't take my story, you know, as he claimed he didn't. But if you go to his page,
it's
you'll
your
see
story.
Me and him on a picture, and he holding my book, and he's saying, Rick Ross, great story. Snowfall coming soon. So that's definitely a sign that something was there. But anyway, I have I never watched it. You know, I think it's a cartoon. You know, they call the guy Franklin, you know, to change it from Freeway.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you know, I'm going to do my own series. You know, I'll probably finance it myself. You know, Hollywood will probably never finance my story because my story would give young black men too much hope and insight to who they could really be and who they really are. So my story is a threat to their system. So I met with 4 of the top guys in Hollywood, and they made me an offer that I could refuse. They didn't give me one of them offers that you can't refuse. But I didn't take the deal. I was broke. My mom was losing her house. I desperately needed the money. But I felt that if I took the offer, they would have took my story and they would have shelved it, and you wouldn't have the right to read the book that you're reading right now. I wouldn't have the ability to put that book out. I wouldn't have the ability to put Crack in the System out that everybody saw on Netflix for a year and a half. They told me that nobody wanted to read my book. So
that's a lie. I'm damn sure read it.
Hey, you and about 50,000 other people who read it,
right,
would say the same thing. So I have no respect for Snowfall, FX, or none of the people really who I met the guy Franklin one day. He was very, very cool, but he hasn't stood up and said what it is with the story, and I guess he don't want to lose his job,
right.
And the difference with me, I never had a job. I was never able to fill out an application, so I never worked for anybody. So I don't know what it's like to work with somebody and the kind of pressure that people are put on who are in those situations.
Mr. Freeway, you've given me a lot. I wanted to save this. If God bless, me and you are still alive, because the world is a wicked place today we live in. So if God afford us to still be here and live here, I would be blessed for a part 2, but on your own time, on your best comfort, because that's the organic type of interviews I like. So, and your manager, I'm building a nice relationship with her as well. So I'm thankful and grateful you gave us this. I have a million other questions to ask you, but next time
we'll do it again.
Right.
Set up something. And we bring my boxers on. I love to do stuff with my boxers.
Oh, that'll be better for us, because I don't want to ask you the same questions that you're a well man that everybody wants to get an interview with, and I just wanted to do something different today. I know some of them were cliche, but trust me, the way the questions were gonna go, now that I know if we have a future lining of this, it's no problem, because I wanted you to explain about hip hop today, how the Contra is not just doing the drugs.
We can go into all that. Let's do it.
Thank you, brother. Now, we'll set it up. I want you to don't miss your time, but can you do me one favor to all the people watching? Just say salute the Smoke Gang. I make everybody who's of a big name like you, just because I'm not me. I'm a regular dude. Your life story is kind of my story as far as coming out the mud. So dudes like you are my heroes I grew up watching, and the chat room is the same way. So I just want you to say salute the Smoke Gang.
What up, y'all? It's Freeway Ricky Ross. Salute the Smoke Gang. Peace.
Thank you, and I'm going to put all your links in it. Y'all, thank you, man. This was a great interview. Hey, Smoke Gang, I don't want to mess this up. I'm going to cancel this and come back on the live, play music or something. Look, y'all, salute to everybody, man. I got so many interviews lined up for y'all. That's what y'all need to know. I'm just trying to do this for Smoke Gang. I'm just trying to be different, man. We just can't be doing what everybody else is doing. We got to try to be different. We got to grow this, man. We got to make this thing of ours bigger to the best of our ability. Shout out the Streets in the building. Yes, Tubes, do it for the ladies. New Life Beats, my guy Applejacks, Andre, Janice, all the beautiful moderators. Carla, the game ain't fair. Carla baby lost her the father of her kids. Our thoughts and her prayers today. I dropped a video earlier. I found out late about it. I mean, she hit me up earlier today. Blessings to Carla baby. She needs that support, y'all. So I'm gonna try to figure out to do something if we can help in any type of way, but I don't want to say too much. I'm trying to be respectful. Maybe I'll reach out to her again to see what's going on. But all of y'all, look, man, we got more bigger things coming. Look, Rick, look, all of y'all salute Rick Ross any chance y'all get. I had a lot of questions, but at the same time, I knew it was urgent that I get enough questions out the way. This man will give us another time. Didn't have to pay him anything. He's a good dude. So I'm blessed and honored. And maybe I need to start putting my money where my mouth is, because pause, that sounded crazy, but y'all know what I mean by that. You got to invest in yourself. That's the thing I took from his book and what I took from him doing this interview. You have to invest in yourself. Look, blessings to all of y'all. Let me close out this interview so I can let it be short, and we'll rock out. And we'll definitely do part 2, 3, and 4, and then some, and we'll get the people to speak to him next time, if it makes sense. Look, I'm your God Bless One. Thank you for watching another episode of I Smoke Hip Hop Live. Love your family, love your kids, and stay blessed. We're about to do a compilation video of all the celebrities we've made do Salute to the Smoke Gang, because I love everybody in the chat room. I think of y'all first. Without y'all, there is no